For the record, my name is Tania Fernandez Anderson, the District 7 City Councilor. I am the chair of the Boston City Council Committee on Ways and Means. This hearing is being recorded. It is being live streamed at boston.gov/city-council-TV and broadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, and FiOS Channel 964. The Council's budget review process will encompass a series of public hearings beginning April and running through June. We strongly encourage residents to take a moment to engage in this process by giving testimony for the record. You can do this in several ways. Attend one of the hearings and give public testimony. We will take public testimony at the end of each departmental hearing and also at 3 hearings dedicated to public testimony. The full hearing schedule is on our website at boston.gov/council-budget. Our scheduled hearings dedicated to public testimony are Tuesday, May 2nd at 2 p.m., Tuesday, May 9th at 6 p.m., and Thursday, May 18th at 2 p.m. For virtual testimony, you can sign up using your online form on the Council Budget Review website or by emailing the committee at ccc.wm@boston.gov. When you are called to testify, please state your name and affiliation and or residence, and limit your comments to a couple of minutes to ensure that all comments and concerns can be heard. You can also email your written testimony to the committee at ccc.wm@boston.gov. Submit a 2-minute video of your testimony through the form on our website. For more information on the City Council budget process and how to testify, please visit the City Council's budget website at boston.gov/council-budget. Today's hearing is on docket 0760 to 0762, orders for the FY23 fiscal year 23 operating budget, including annual appropriations for departmental operations for the school department and for other post-employment benefits, OPEB. Docket 0763, 0765 to 0766, orders for capital fund transfer appropriations. Docket 0764, 0767 to 0768, orders for the capital budget, including loan orders and lease purchase agreements. Our focus area for this hearing will be the fiscal year 24 budget for the Law Department and their revolving fund, the Treasury Department, and the Auditing Department. Our panelists for today's hearing are Adam Cedarbaum, Corporation Counsel, Law Department; Susan Wise, First Assistant, Corporation Counsel, Law Department; Pilar Ortiz, Chief of Staff, Law Department; Maureen Garceau, First Assistant Collector, Treasurer, Treasury Division, Treasury Department; Celia Barton, Assistant Collector, Treasurer, Collecting Division, Treasury Department; Maureen Joyce, City Auditor, Auditing Department. I am joined here by my council colleague, City Councilor at Large, Councilor Aaron Murphy. For the format today that we'll be using, also joined here by my council colleague, Councilor Liz Braden, and Councilor at Large, Michael Flaherty. For our format, I will go to the administration panelist for a presentation. Then I will ask our budget analyst, Karishma, to present a breakdown of the budget for those departments, and immediately go to round 1 of questioning to my council colleagues, and then to public testimony if anyone signed up, and then to a second round of question and a third if time allows. This hearing has been scheduled for a duration of 3 hours. If we may get done sooner, and that's really to the discretion of my colleagues if they feel the questions have been answered or whether or not we need further conversation beyond this hearing. So before we begin, I'd like to welcome all of you and thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all of your hard work, pretty straightforward stuff. And I mentioned earlier offline, fun stuff, treasuring and auditing and law. So law is definitely fun, right, Adam? Definitely. And we absolutely. And let's make this a light conversation. I'd like to preface it by just asking that we all have a job to do, and that we look forward to a conversation with integrity, transparency, and obviously professionalism and respect in this conversation. So just a easy going conversation, questions and answers, and getting to clarification and transparency for the sake of conveying information to make it accessible for the public. I'll go to my council colleagues for a 30-second introduction, an opening statement. First, Councilor Aaron Murphy, you have the floor. Councilor Murphy, if you are muted or stepped away from your desk, we will go to Councilor Liz Braden.
All right, no, sorry, I'm here. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chair, and thank you all for being here, the panelists, and just looking forward to the conversation. I'll hold my opening remarks to our first round of questions. Looking forward to the conversation. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy. Then we have Councilor Liz Braden.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I don't have anything much to say, just I'm looking forward to the conversation, and I'll hold my remarks for my time for my questions later. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Braden. Councilor Michael Flaherty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I look forward to the testimony, and obviously my focus will be for the law department around execution of courts, and on the general liability side, sort of who's suing us and are there any trends, and then also looking at outside counsel and why we need them, when we need them, and who sets the rates and all that stuff. So that's where my line of inquiry will be. But again, look forward to the testimony from the administration.
Thank you so much, Councilor Flaherty. Next, we have Councilor Coletta.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you all. Thank you so much for your work. No particular opening statement. Just look forward to the conversation. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Councilor Mejia.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's Councilor Mejia. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I will spare you. The allergies are killing me. But I am not going to have any opening remarks, but I will have questions. I'm really looking forward to diving in and learning a little bit more, as Councilor Flaherty mentioned, in terms of like when we seek counsel, what does that look like, who pays for it, and all that good stuff. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Councilor Mejia. I have in the order, and I guess Adam, Pilar, anyone help me out. Are you guys planning to present together, or who's ready to go first?
I'm happy for the law department to go first, if that works for the committee. We do have a slide deck that we will try to move through quickly, and I will ask Pilar to present a couple of those slides, and I'll present the rest.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. If we can get that up, you have the floor.
Great. Thank you very much. So good morning again. I'm Adam Cederbaum. I'm the Corporation Counsel. With me is Susan Wisey, the first Assistant Corporation Counsel for Litigation, and Pilar Ortiz, the Law Department's Chief of Staff. I want to thank you, Chair Fernandez-Anderson, and the entire Ways and Means Committee for having us here today, and I think it extends to staff. And we would be pleased to give you a brief overview of the law department. So the overall goal of the law department is basically to provide the highest quality legal work that we can on behalf of the city of Boston. And this means a couple of basic things, right? We advise and perform transactional work to execute that advice, to support and facilitate the work that our departments, and so our public-facing departments do, and that our employees perform on behalf of the community. Right? We're really there as a central department in support of a lot of the work that our external-facing departments do for the community. The second, main bucket of our work is defending the city and its employees. That primarily means litigation, but also before regulatory bodies. We are a central department that sort of through defending the city and through sort of advising and performing transactional work supports the work of other departments. The law department is an in-house legal department that serves the city of Boston. So we don't advise constituents, we advise the city as an entity and its employees. Currently, we have 68 employees. That's primarily, the majority of those are lawyers. We also have paralegals, claims specialists, and administrative staff. I'll tell you a little bit about some of these groups and the work that we do. The majority of that staff is located here in City Hall, but we also have a fair number of staff sort of scattered at larger departments throughout the city, including schools, inspectional services, public facilities, police, the mayor's office of housing, and the fire department. This staff performs a wide variety of work. That work starts with our operations group. These are the staff who make sure that the department runs and who support everybody else in the department in the work we do on behalf of the city and its departments. So that's the sort of the critical foundation of our work. The litigation group takes the lead on another sort of core piece of this department's work. Right? The core task is defending the city and its employees. We're a large institution. We get a lot of lawsuits and claims ranging from property damage and negligence to employment cases and civil rights cases. Our litigation group takes the lead in defending the city and its employees in all of those matters. The government services team sort of represents another core task that's performed by the law department on behalf of our city departments and agencies. That team performs a lot of transactional and advisory work that, again, supports and facilitates the work that our departments and public-facing employees do. They also do a variety of land use and contract litigation. Those two core tasks, sort of advising and supporting and defending in litigation, are also combined in other pieces of the law department, housed in some of our larger departments. So some lawyers at the police department sort of combine the two tasks. The inspectional services department has a team that advises and sort of pursues ISD's regulatory agenda in housing court. The schools department has lawyers who do both defending the school in litigation as well as advising, and in particular there's a large workflow in the special ed area within that group. The public facilities department has dedicated lawyers who work on both like construction litigation and, very importantly, construction procurement to do the sort of large and support the large capital expenditures of the city. Finally, we have a couple other things. We have the mayor's office of housing, fire department. We have an ethics division that supports that, and we have the public records team handles a large volume of requests that come into the city There was a backlog coming out of the pandemic. That team added people last year. They've made progress on that, and with some upcoming system changes and the continued hard work of that team, we expect to eliminate that in the coming months. Our tax title team, with great sort of flexibility and respect for our residents, manages the collection on the city's tax liens for unpaid taxes. Our claims division processes all claims for property damage and damage from employee negligence that are submitted to the city, and our workers' comp team handles the litigation in the city's workers' comp caseload. There's obviously a lot of work that I haven't mentioned, but I just wanted to give you a flavor for sort of the wide variety and the large docket that this group of 68 dedicated employees, hopefully adding a few more as we continue to hire, handles throughout each day and throughout the year. So that, I think, moves us right to sort of like our budget. And I'll start, since this hearing does concern revolving funds, I will start with the law department's revolving fund. This is the third-party property damages fund. On our end, in coordination with the budget office, this is led by Sean Chen and the claims team. Essentially, this is a fund where money is deposited if we recover from individuals and most often from insurance companies for damage caused by people to city property. That's then made available to departments to use instead of their own budget for fixing that damage. Departments apply through our claims office and the budget office, which gives the claims office the awareness of the potential for collection and the ability to pursue it. This is a fund that, with authorization from the City Council, is established pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E.5. And the goal of having this fund is to create an incentive for departments to pursue and make the claims division aware of damage to property that we can sort of collect on. So all departments are eligible to participate, but the most common participants are those that have frequently damaged city property. So like fences and parks, our vehicles, which are owned by Public Works, BPD, fire alarm boxes, street light control boxes, and things like that get damaged. Moving on to sort of our budget itself, I know that you will sort of present the budget overview soon, so I will sort of stick to the breakdown. Our budget for the main law department budget is comprised of two basic parts because we don't do physical work, we do all legal work. So our two parts essentially are personnel costs for that team of 68 plus that I've described, as well as outside counsel, right? We have a contracted services line, but it is almost all spent on outside counsel. I spoke a lot about what the team within that personnel services line does. So I will just move on to a brief overview of outside counsel, right? Like all municipal law departments, we use outside counsel. We tend to use outside counsel primarily for litigation, but we also use it for matters like employment advising or managing and investigating an employment issue, telecom work, environmental permitting work. In a sense, there's three basic reasons that we turn to outside counsel. First is, where there's a conflict or a potential conflict between multiple city employees who we represent or can defend. We use outside counsel for certain complex or specialized matters where we don't have the expertise in-house, and it's more efficient or reasonable to use outside counsel that has the expertise than to try to develop it for a matter that's not sort of likely to repeat. And finally, staff capacity, right? You can't control the flow of litigation. Sometimes there's just too much. For example, earlier in this fiscal year, we lost 3 senior litigators sort of in succession, and it did create a capacity issue for us for a period of time. Susan has done a great job rebuilding that team, so I think we're sort of coming out of that. But that's just sort of an example. This is a great time to pause for a second and recognize the hard work of those attorneys on the litigation team that sort of carried us through that period and are now sort of really knocking off a bunch of work. I'll also acknowledge here that our utilization of MBE and WBE certified firms is not, I think, where we would aspire for it to be in our use of outside counsel. In part, that is a function of the legal landscape here in Boston, but it is something that we recognize and will continue to strive to improve. Within the context of those sort of larger Boston firms, many of which aren't structured in a way that allows them to be certified, we have placed an emphasis this year on really ensuring that we create opportunities to consider and originate work with partners in those firms who are either women or people of color, which is another way of pursuing our being sort of thoughtful about this, even in a landscape where many firms aren't certified. The budget that we're requesting, I want to take one minute to just put it into perspective and share with you my thought that we are requesting a very reasonable budget and one that I think highlights what a great job this team in the law department does. Measured as like a percentage of overall budget, whether you do it by cities that are similar size to us or whether you do it by cities that are right around us, which have, operate under the very similar legal structure. The law department's budget is a very reasonable percentage of the city's overall budget. On this list, it's the lowest percentage. And I just want to say that I think that means that our request is reasonable here. And more importantly, it's a testament to the employees of this department. So I just want to take 1 second, in light of that, to thank them, to thank the hardworking, talented staff of the law department for their dedication and commitment, which I think allows us to sort of get a lot done. They get a lot done, right? So, of course, we absolutely intend to finish the job of filling our open positions this year. We made a lot of progress last year to support our teams more effectively and continue to bring more work right here in-house. And in pursuit of that, we've also have a modest request for an addition of 2 lawyer positions to help meet the city's growing needs, especially as we try to modernize procurement and policy formation and litigation over the coming year. So in that vein of celebrating our employees, I would like to pass the next couple slides over to the Chief of Staff, Laura Ortiz, to present a little overview of our personnel. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Sorry, excuse me a moment. You actually have, you've come to time, so I'm going to ask you to wrap it up in a couple of minutes, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, we can do
Took
that.
up all of your 15 minutes, so 5 minutes, please, Pilar.
Absolutely, Counselor. So we have here a snapshot of the representation and the diversity of our department. We've had a growing focus on improving our hiring practices to make sure that we are creating a more equitable hiring process. We're looking at reviewing our job descriptions, making sure that we're not having anything that might, compel someone to not move forward with applying. We're expanding our network and our outreach. We are standardizing our practices, including looking at resume rubrics to have more blind review of resumes as they come in. That being said, we do face some challenges. We see a lot of competition as other offices are trying to strengthen their diversity. If we're looking at the demographics of kind of the pool that we have to fish in here for lawyers, we are looking at a primarily white and male demographic. We're looking here at a report just even focused on Boston. We're seeing only 28% women and 7% people of color. We're looking for partners for more senior positions within our department. With all this being said, not to focus too much on these slides, we are looking at the salary equity for existing employees that allows us to offer better starting salaries that are tied to experience. That makes our offer stronger when we're going after diversity candidates. It makes sure that we are more able to play within some of the other offers that they might be fielding. We're also working on being more proactive with our outreach. We're making sure that we're creating stronger and more widespread relationships with affinity bar groups. This is very important to also not just show up. It's not enough to just show up. We have to be proactive and create opportunities and open our doors, make sure that we're having conversations with people who may not know of our opportunities in previous times. And just looking at advancing our office culture here, as Adam mentioned, we have 21 new hires. With all of these kind of improvements that we've been doing, we have improved the diversity of the department with those 21 new hires. We have a new partnership with the Boston Bar Association, where we now host our only paid internship is actually for DEI candidates that are current law students. Our career development, we've created structured periodic reviews, and these reviews provide transparency on our expectations of our employees and help structure our promotions. This also allows for feedback on everyone to tell us their individual needs on what they need to succeed within the department. We've created specialized roles, including public records, BPD, BFD, PFD, and MOH. And we've improved the communication within our management team, establishing regular group and one-on-one meetings just to make sure that we are hearing the needs of every sector of the many people and teams that Adam mentioned earlier. And while we're not a constituent-facing group, we do have constituents coming into the office. And so looking at that, we've made sure that our support staff is trained on on-demand interpretation services, and we've created translated information on third-party resources that we can direct people to, despite the fact that we do not directly serve constituents. I'm going to hand it back over to Ed.
Thank you so much, Pilar and Madam Chair. We will talk about goals another time. They're in the response we provided to the council with the RFI. I apologize for being slow moving through the first part, and I appreciate everybody's patience and look forward to talking more. So thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Cedarbaum. I would like to go to Karishma to present just sort of a breakdown, more visual breakdown of your budget. Karishma, if you could just present for the law department. Thank you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all. And thank you so much for that amazing presentation, Adam. That explains so much. So thank you for that. Give me 1 second to set up to the law part, and then we can get started. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So this is just some breakdown that I have for the law department. A lot of these questions were answered, so thank you again, Adam and Pilar, for all your great information. I've broken it down kind of like by your programmatic spending. So how much you're spending on litigation, how much you're spending on government services, and then how much you're spending on law operations. Very fun. So this is just kind of like looking at the numbers in terms of like the millions of dollars being spent, and then kind of in the FY24 budget, how much are you putting towards each of those programs of the total amount that you're of the total amount that you're trying to recommend. And then this is just kind of the law department spending over time. So what I've done is I've kind of looked at your different programs and I've tried to break it down over time. It's in total amount by thousands because these are pretty large numbers and I wanted to make it a little bit easier for everyone to read. Just some things to notice here that at least I noticed, and I think you guys have really addressed those. It's just some of those increases that we're seeing in law operations and then the increases that we're seeing in litigation and in government services. So just trying to understand what those increases were. And then this is just kind of broken down by the kinds of expenses that you're asking for. Thank you for that great explanation about like where those contractual services are going, because that was actually going to be a question that I had, what does that mean? And so that was great trying to understand where those services are actually going. And then this is just the governmental services information that you provided, or governmental services program that you have, just kind of looking at that spending over time as well, just trying to see, what's been changing over the years. And what I kind of thought was interesting was that there was actually a drop in contractual services for governmental services. So that was pretty interesting to me. And then this is just law operation spending by expense type over time. So yeah, and I've broken it down by like personnel, contractual supplies and materials, current charges and obligations. And I think that, one of the questions that I had for there was just, what were those current charges and obligations? And then this is just your litigation spending. Again, it was interesting just to kind of see how those personnel and contractual services are changing. That change in the contractual services, I think you explained in your presentation. And so that really helps in terms of understanding where that money is going. And then this is just the departmental history of where your departmental history, so where the personnel, how you've been spending money by expense type over time compared to how external funds have been spent over time. So that first thing you're going to see there is permanent employees. So, $8 million are being spent on permanent employees out of the operating or out of the general funds, and then $300,000 being spent out of the out of external funds. And so one of the questions that I had here was just, what kind of current charges are we thinking about here? Like, what does the other current charges mean? And then what kind of transportation of persons? Like, what exactly does that mean in terms of you're transporting? I thought that was interesting. I didn't know that was something that law could do. So I thought that was just interesting. And then this is just the, revolving fund that you had already specified. And I think you actually did end up answering these questions. So thank you again so much for that. And I think that honestly might be it for law.
Thank you, Karishma. If we can get back to the regular screen. We'll go into our first round of questions in the order of arrival. Councilor Murphy, you have the floor.
Thank you. And thank you to the law department. Thank you, Adam, for that presentation, and Pilar. And my only question, I guess, is, do we see that this year or last year that we have an increase in outside legal costs? Or is it pretty similar to past years? Just to be transparent, I know we hear in the news, not that I believe everything I read in the newspaper, which I hope no one does on this call, but that, this administration is in a lot of lawsuits. So wondering, are we spending more, or is it about on par to past administrations?
I would like to follow up. We could pull own numbers, but my quick answer is it's completely on par.
Awesome.
There was a reduction in the outside counsel budget last year. We've had to transfer a little money from the personnel line into it, but that's actually something that happened frequently in the past. So I believe that the outside counsel spending, and I will confirm this after this hearing, is very much in line with and not in excess of past years.
Okay.
with
No, thank you.
some cost increases, but
Of course, yeah.
essentially the same.
And going into, our budget season now, are there any asks that you want us on the council to be advocating for that would be new costs or just increasing some line items that would be helpful going forward?
I appreciate that, Councillor. I think that what we've requested will allow us to continue to sort of grow and improve our work over the coming fiscal year. In the past, we had because hiring's been such a challenge, and I want to sort of pause. I want to thank this body and actually the former Corporation Counsel, Henry Lutine, as well as First Assistant Corporation Counsel, Susan Wisey, for a lot of the work that they did in 2021 to sort of get the salaries in the law department more aligned with the salaries in every other municipal law department in this region. That was a critical step in helping us sort of stem a tide of always losing attorneys and always having unfilled positions. Coming out of the pandemic and with all the hiring problems that every industry is facing, it wasn't a panacea, but it's been a change dynamic and something that sort of over the last years allowed us to fill what used to be a larger number of open positions. We still have a few, 7 to be exact, and that we want to sort of work on filling. We do have, this budget does include a request essentially to add 2 more experienced lawyers that would like to have focus on procurement work, which is such a huge workflow throughout the institution that we really need to sort of help systematize and support the finance cabinet's efforts on those fronts, as well as to develop a little more capacity to sort of think through and defend in litigation sort of policy heavy issues. So our budget request, we think it's a moderate request, but it's, there's always a ton of work to do, but we want to balance it with our ability to actually ramp up, which does take time. Thank you, Council.
Awesome, thank you. I'll just end, you mentioned Henry Lutine. He is leaving us any day now, so I do just want to thank him for his decades of service to the city. And when I call you, Adam or Henry, and also Pilar, your office has just been super helpful. So I just want to shout you all out for being supportive. I don't have to call often, but when I've had questions, you've been very helpful. And also Maureen, the treasurer, thank you. And everyone on the call, but that's it, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Councillor Braden, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the team from the Law Department. I also want to echo my best wishes for Henry Lutine, a dedicated public servant who served in the Law Department for decades, and he certainly will be missed. A huge amount of institutional memory there, and I just want to thank him for his service. And he's a neighbour of mine, so hopefully we'll see more of him in the neighbourhood. So thank you, Henry. A question I had was really about, compared to other cities across the country, I was wondering our relationship with the municipal court. Do other cities actually staff have their own administrative law judges for hearings on ordinance and code violations? Like this is an issue that we've talked about in the past, Adam, and without getting into too many details in this because we're focused on the budget, but how do we actually improve our code enforcement in terms of our municipal system?
Well, those are 2 really challenging questions that I will give you bad answers to right now. With respect to the first, sort of what does the survey of other cities across the country look like? I'm really not sort of equipped to give you a knowledgeable answer right now. What I will say is yes, in other states, there are cities that have different systems, but I'm not an expert on those, so don't really want to speak to it. And with respect to sort of our code enforcement work, I will say three things. First, would love to continue that conversation at a time when I'm prepared to be more knowledgeable than right now. Second, we do have, our attorneys at ISD are very involved with this type of work, as well as, so we are actively working on that, actively supporting it, but it's, I know it's a constant challenge. And the third thing is we do have attorneys within the Government Services Division who, similarly are supporting clients who are facing the same challenges. So there's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot of sort of upcoming work there. I think there's, I know that the Berto Commission is being put together right now, and that will be another sort of exciting challenge on this front. So I know that's not a great answer, Councillor, but that's the best I can do right now.
So in terms of just enforcement of Berto and those sort of things, I know it's a challenging, it's transition for some landlords to pick up that step up to Berto 2. Do you folks have enough? Like, I know you've got 8 vacancies now, and you're hopeful that you're going to fill those vacancies and that you're going to be fully staffed to be able to meet the challenges of this new. We keep throwing new ordinances at you all the time. So are we up to speed with the full staff to meet the challenge?
Yes, right. We have the current vacancies. We've requested a couple of additional positions. You're right, Councillor. Like, the city continues to grow and evolve, and there's new work. But we also, as a department, need to grow. Be realistic about our pace of growth. And another thing that we are doing is, again, you and I are on the same page about shouting out Henry Lutein today because it's both a sad and exciting day. Going back to that sort of work I mentioned that he did a couple of years ago, we are retaining and sort of developing the team we have here now to be sort of more experienced, and we want to sort of add to that, but add to it in a way that makes experience one of the hallmarks of this department. So the pace that we've requested is one that we think allows us to both grow to meet needs and be reasonable about quality in developing experience and doing it in a measured way over time. So next year, if I'm lucky enough to be at this hearing, hopefully I will be asking you for a couple of additional positions as well to continue meeting the city's growing work.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Braden. Councillor Flaherty, you have the floor.
Can you hear me, Madam Chair?
I can.
Yes, good morning, Adam, and to your team. Appreciate the work you do, and you guys have always been responsive, and congratulations to Henry on a well-deserved vacation, always providing great counsel. And over the years, counsel and he have been involved in a number of battles and on behalf of the corporation. So, and he's always provided excellent legal advice and great temperament, and it's served our city well. So congrats to Henry if he's tuned in. All the best. Adam, one of the slides showed 31% of law services go to litigation, I believe. And then in your slide, you had mentioned, I think it said 28% goes to outside counsel. So is it fair to say that anytime that we go to court in terms of actual litigation, that we're farming that out? And I guess, and if so, why are we not allowing our attorneys to get that trial experience, to get the training, particularly on some of the general liability stuff, as opposed to just farming it out? And I understand the specialized areas. That's kind of a different conversation in terms of if it's a special area of law or somewhere when someone has expert knowledge and we want to retain their services on behalf of the corporation, because that's our responsibility. but sort of on the mundane, on the routine, sort of general liability stuff, hopefully our lawyers are getting ice time, and we're honing their skills as litigators as opposed to just immediately saying, oh, Jesus is going to go to trial. We need to farm it out. So I need to make some sense of that, because I saw 31% litigation, 28% outside counsel, and I'd rather see that number be a lot lower and have our lawyers going into court for us.
Counselor, I really appreciate that question. In a moment, I'm going to ask Susan Wisey, the First Assistant Corporation Counsel for Litigation, to weigh in, because I think she'll be able to describe to you very helpfully what I think you're totally right about, this concept of ice time. But let me just quickly say, actually, Susan's team and the team at BPS and the team at the police department and even the team in government services go to court and to trial a lot more than outside firms. You'll hear more about that. One thing I'll point out is you're right about that breakdown. I will just note that we have litigation going on in other places too, right? So the police legal advisor team and the school legal advisor team, which aren't popping up in that litigation number, are doing a lot of in-court litigation. The government services team, although the nature of that work involves fewer jury trials, is doing a lot of work in court as well. So when you add that together, the balance, I think, looks a little more like one that you would find reasonable, Counselor. But I would love to turn this over to Susan for a minute.
Right, and I appreciate that, Adam. That's obviously a fair point. And then on that, through the chair, if I could get a list of current and ongoing litigation matters, that would be helpful in terms of sort of do that breakdown as you just discussed. There's the stuff on the general liability side, et cetera. And then there's the other things that we're providing, the school department and the police department. But if I could get a current list of active, open, ongoing cases against the city, I would appreciate it through the chair. And I'll await the response, and then that'll conclude my questions, Madam Chair.
Absolutely, we will. And I would love to give Susan just 1 minute to talk a little bit about the serious work her team does in court.
Thank you, Councilor Flaherty.
Thank you, Susan.
Attorney Cedarbaum, if it's okay with you, we expect to have that information within the next 7 days.
Absolutely, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Susan?
Thank you very much. Yeah, Councilor Flaherty, just so you know, almost all of the litigation trial work goes through my litigators. We have, at least in the litigation side, we have very, very few cases at this point that are with outside counsel. I know of 5 currently, 2 of them are winding down. So that leaves maybe 3 people on outside counsel that are handling 3 cases. The other 200 cases that are currently active and open right now in litigation are all being handled by the attorneys here in the law department. Since the beginning of this year, and I guess even from last fall, we've gone to one trial after another. We are starting another trial next Monday in federal district court. So we are handling, I would suggest to you, 95% of all litigation in the city of Boston.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Coletta, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, everybody. Adam, for your presentation, and Pilar, great work. I had a lot of my questions answered except for one, and apologies if I've missed this. I know that there have been reports of our public records department being a little slow and to respond to folks. I'm wondering if there's any additional staff capacity that's going to be added to that in your requests.
Thank you for that question, Counselor. Within the 7 open positions that we have right now, one of the key attorney positions we're looking to fill is a records-focused attorney in the Boston Police Department Legal Advisor's Office. We think that sort of, along with, is going to be a sort of a key additional resource in helping meet the overall demand for public records. The public records office here in City Hall coordinates and works closely with the police department, schools. Like that's technically the records access officer for all of the city. Yes, we actually do think they need additional resources, and there's already within our budget the key next resource that we think that collective team needs. But you're right that this is an area of emphasis for us. In addition to additional staff resources, we are sort of actively, that team is actively looking at sort of a variety of process stuff to increase our speed and responsiveness. So thank you.
Thank you for that. And are there any technological needs that you need, that this department needs to help in that regard? Like what sort of internal systems? I've been really interested to understand just how archaic some of our technology systems are in the city of Boston and how it hinders us to provide essential constituent services, just like public records requests. So I'm wondering, what do you use, and if you do use anything at all, and if there's an opportunity for investment there as well?
Yes, the public records team uses a software system called GovQA to sort of manage and produce records in response to records requests. This is actually a relatively new, few years old investment for the city. So on the public records front, the answer is no. There's not a new investment that we need. We've actually, in sort of fairly recent history, made that investment citywide. And our emphasis this year really is on sort of continued adoption throughout all of our departments and sort of process work. But in the short run, I don't think we have a sort of technological need there. I will say that not this year, but I do think that in at some point in the indefinite future, we may come to this body with a request for, not on the public record side, but just, records, case management software. And we do, like Susan's group, the litigation group, does a ton of discovery because we do civil litigation here. That's becoming more electronic heavy with every passing year. So it could be that in the future, sort of the law department's case management system and ability to integrate it with electronic discovery would be something where we would seek an investment, but we are not asking for that this year. And we think that we would rely on sort of DoIT to lead us in that process if we get to that point.
Thank you, Attorney Sitterbaum. That's it for questioning. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor Coletta. Councilor Mejia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you all. So I just have a few questions, and some of them are really specific around process. Adam, if you don't mind kind of sharing with me, there have been, several incidences where residents have had issues with the city and sometimes find themselves being sued by the city, which is, interesting. And I'm just curious about, what's your decision-making model process in terms of like things that you decide to take on or things that you parse out, that could potentially be seen as a conflict of interest, that you don't think that it's something that the city should be pursuing? Like, what's your decision-making model for things like that?
Thank you, Councilor. On some level, I'd have to say everything's going to be really sort of case specific around here. We do, in this department, some enforcement type work, right? We have as we mentioned before, for the revolving fund and just in general, when city property is damaged, we do pursue claims that is ordinarily against like an insurance company. We have a tax title division. Sort of by law, if a residential or commercial property owner is delinquent on their taxes, at the end of the year, by law, that shortfall becomes a lien against the property. And that lien is one that the law department manages the enforcement of and collection on. I will say that our tax title group is extremely oriented towards ensuring that the collection of taxes does not affect people's ability to remain in their home. They're very flexible and always looking for ways for the taxpayer to get rid of the lien. And, you know, by law, like we do have to take certain steps with respect to sort of filing the lien in court, et cetera. But on the back end, that group makes every effort to sort of be flexible and aware of people's situation. And I do not believe, and I don't want to say this as an absolute, that we've foreclosed on any lien where somebody lives in a property in many, many, many years, right? Far, you know. Finally, over an ISD, we do, and sort of with support of the fire department, so the fire department and ISD, do pursue like enforcement actions under like the sanitary code, the building code, the fire code, the zoning code, health inspection codes against properties that are not compliant and have either safety issues or issues of non-compliance that have been brought to the department by neighbors or something. So we do pursue that type of code enforcement litigation. But beyond that, I don't have a great sort of overarching answer. They're sort of specific within each of those piles. But happy at any point to discuss, you know, any specific instances that give you a better sense of the department's thinking.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. Thank you for that. I do just have one last question for the law, and I want to be super mindful and respectful of everybody's time. Can you just let me know whether or not, and I may have missed this in the presentation, but I get a lot of calls from municipal employees.
Mayor, your time is up. Please wrap it up in the 30 seconds.
Okay. And Adam, don't be taking up all my time right now with your answers, okay? Because I would have been all right until you started like talking a whole dissertation here. You better answer this quickly. Listen, I get a lot of calls from municipal employees, some who are dealing with issues of, they're more personnel issues, but you know, there are, you know, considering suing the city and it's BPS and it's, you know, it's the city hall, it's different types of departments. I don't know if you can speak to different outside of city hall or before, or do you oversee everything that deals with the city of Boston? I just want to be clear. Everything, right?
Yes. Thanks. Yes. So this department deals with all employment actions against the city.
Yeah, okay, okay, got it. So I guess my question is specifically, right, because there's been a lot of cases that I've come across of people of color in particular being let go of their jobs or, you know, whatever the case is. And I'm just curious if you've seen an uptick in a trend in regards to this issue and people pursuing litigation as a way to a restorative justice corrective action type of situation.
Counselor, I'd like to offer to just follow up. We can actually just look through maybe, you know, some number of years of cases to see, you know, to give you some feedback on sort of the number of sort of employment and MCAD cases that the city's received over time, because I don't feel like I have a good, I don't feel that I will give you a correct off the cuff answer, but we will give you sort of a trend of maybe 5 years or something.
All right, thank
of those
you.
type of cases.
And thank you, Chair,
Council.
thank you, Chair, for allowing the indulgence. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Mejia. Council Sirbaum, will you be submitting that in writing as well?
Yes, we will commit to doing that, and I think it'll be we can certainly aim for that same 7 days, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Council Rowe, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the law staff. And sorry if I got these numbers wrong, but I think I heard about 20%, 20% of the budget is contracted for services, but they cover a small portion of cases. If we are handling a significant amount of litigation in-house, why does contractual services continue to form a large percentage of overall spending?
Simply because that they demand a much higher hourly rate that the law department ACCs get themselves. I mean, there's no comparison, frankly. Our current normal outside counsel rate is $265 an hour, which is extremely low market-wise. But some of the outside counsel demand a bit more, not a lot more, in order to do some of the cases. So that's why there's a budgetary problem there, if it's a problem. But yeah, there's not that very many cases, but when you hire outside counsel, they demand a lot of money on an hourly rate.
Got it. So do we ever, I guess, see the more we staff up, that number coming down, the contractor services coming down?
Not necessarily. It depends, because if we have a conflict of interest in representing employees, we may have to send cases out. And if there's a case or two that requires a certain level of expertise that we may not have, we will send that out as well. But for instance, if we get a case where there's 4 or 5 police officers being sued, you may need outside counsel just due to a potential conflict of interest in representing so many people all at once. I mean, that's just standard, frankly. So I'm not sure you can ever predict from one year to the next how many outside counsel you're going to need. I just know that right now, this is probably one of the lowest number of outside counsel that I'm currently seeing, and at least from litigation staffing, in a very long time.
And there was a line item for transportation of a person with a large increase from last year. I just kind of wanted to get clarification on what that money is used for, transportation of persons.
Yeah, thank you, Counselor. I believe, so I think you're going to see this like in basically every department. That's the MBTA pass program. So we didn't have that last year. So that's going to be reflected in each departmental budget, I believe. So ours has that big increase so that, we got right now 68 employees. Most of us are signed up, I think. So that's where that number comes from, Counselor.
And then also 60% increase in personnel costs. Is this increase in staffing, increase in salaries? And can you give me a breakdown if it's a combination of both?
Yeah, sure. I think it's a 10% increase, Counselor. And it is, there's 3 things sort of making up that increase. One is it takes into account anticipated step increases for the whole group in the next fiscal year. This fiscal year, we regraded some employees. So they're just going to hit higher next year. And we have requested 2 additional positions for relatively experienced attorneys in here. So that's those 3 things make up the 10% increase, Counselor.
Yeah, no, I know it's a 10% increase this year, but since 2021, I believe it was 60%.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah.
So one Yeah. In two basic things. One is just sort of like the compounding of normal increases like we just discussed. The second is in early 2021, the Human Resources Department with Law Department leadership sort of conducted a very thorough sort of salary study compared to other municipal law departments essentially in this region because we were having huge retention problems. And there was a significant salary increase that came out of that. So there was I think a pretty big jump going into fiscal 22 from that is my memory.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. Councillor Louis-Jean, you have the floor. I guess she's not with us. Councillor President Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the panel for being here. And Madam Chair, I apologize for being late to this meeting. I had a medical appointment earlier, but it's good to be with everybody. Thank you to Adam and the legal team for being on. And I know we're going to recognize the years of service to Attorney Henry Gutine and thanking Henry. So on behalf of the City Council, just wanted to acknowledge the incredible service Henry provided to the City of Boston and residents for so many years. He's an outstanding lawyer and very ethical person. So Adam, I guess my question is on funding for the law office, for the law department rather. Young attorneys starting out that are working in your department, how are you competing with law firms in Boston that also are recruiting the same lawyers, and law firms in Boston are probably paying, I don't know what the salary would be for young attorneys starting out, $150,000. I don't know, but how are you competing in that regard? But also attorneys that work for you that have, say, 4 or 5 years experience, and then maybe they're starting to have, they want to have a family, maybe they just can't make it on that salary. But how do you retain those attorneys that have 5 years of good experience representing the residents of Boston, and then unfortunately losing them because the salary may not be what they need to support their family?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a really tricky question. And I think I'll just say a couple things about it. First of all, obviously you have identified some real dynamics that are like a very real challenge for our hiring, our retention, including our intent to ensure that we have a diverse workforce that's sort of capable of understanding and solving the many challenges the city faces. So this is a challenge, but it's, I will say that it's not unique to the City of Boston Law Department. It's a challenge that all municipal law departments face. But I will say a couple of things. First of all, I've mentioned this a couple times now. You started off by recognizing Henry We've mentioned the work he did in 2021, along with Susan, along with our Office of Human Resources. It is probably not realistic to think that any time in the foreseeable future, we are going to have salaries that look like private law firm salaries. But at least we now have salaries that look like the salaries in other municipal law departments right around the city of Boston. So that's one huge step. And, you know, that happened, unfortunately, with the pandemic, with this big drop off in, you know, available labor. And so it's been a challenge still, but I believe, I sincerely believe that that work that they did is paying off, and it is a real difference. A second thing is sort of going back to Susan's answer before about how her litigators are in court, you know, banging this, like, our work is part of what sells this job and part of what hopefully keeps people here a little longer than they might otherwise be, right? You get to do a lot here. We are a lean department. I think that we're very efficient, and what that means is that line attorneys have a lot of responsibility, and they get to do a lot of things. They get to use their own judgment, and they get to see the way that their work impacts like real lawsuits, real projects out in the community. So as much as the salary is a legitimate issue, I also want to lift up that we get to do really interesting work here, and we get to do it in support of departmental clients who are trying to do really great things in the city. So hopefully we're offering a little bit to make up for that, but I don't know, Mr. President, it remains a challenge. I think the salary reset in mid-21 is critical and really important, and we will see how it goes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Madam Chair, do I have time for one more question?
Just one more.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. So just on that issue, Adam, is there a program that you have or the law department has in terms of working with law firms? Working with law schools in Boston where you're recruiting people out of law schools, but is there a program where the city of Boston might also help them or partner with the law school with the tuition assistance for young attorneys that might have a huge tuition bill? Could be as high as $100,000 for a law school tuition. But is there a program where you might offer some type of benefit in terms of tuition assistance to come work for the people of Boston?
Mr. President, we do not have a program like that other than the federal public interest loan forgiveness, which our attorneys are all eligible for, which has been great. But very interesting future idea. And, we are trying to always find ways to, connect more to our interns, more to the law schools, get people excited about what they can do here before they just move, just see the salaries. So thank you, and I love the idea.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you to the law department for being here, for the important work you're doing in the city. Madam Chair, thank you for giving me an extra minute.
Absolutely. Council President Flynn. Attorney Cedarbaum, I think that we are wrapping up with you. I only have a couple of questions, and then I will get a consensus from my colleagues if they want you to remain or leave. I just wanted to ask you exactly how does the law department prioritize its clients, such as the mayor, city council, or departments?
Our government services team, essentially the way it works is every department has an attorney assigned to it. We don't do a lot of prioritization. We just take whatever comes in. Our largest departments have, police, schools actually have like dedicated staff.
Thank you.
But, sorry, I don't know how to turn my ringer off. But the answer is like, we don't do a lot of that. Maybe it would be more efficient, but we just really try to handle all the issues, questions, and lawsuits that come in.
In that case, do you have any ways of measuring effectiveness in terms of monitoring expenditures over time?
Sorry, my phone is going crazy. This guy.
So I guess
Yeah.
the answer, it sounds like you know how many attorneys you need. You don't necessarily have a method in terms of figuring out prioritizing. You have attorneys for each department, but over time, you know you're being effective and you know you have enough money.
So do we have like a system of measurement and sort of internal billing? The answer is no. I would say instead, sort of like, as part of this budget process, we sort of looked at sort of our capacity needs and sort of within each group, sort of thought about which group needs a little more capacity. We've kind of assigned, we have these 7 open positions. So they're sort of allocated where we believe we currently need a little more capacity. And then we identified sort of, additional sort of big surges of workflow that we anticipate in the coming year, or that we saw last year that we need to address, which sort of we couldn't plug with those, which is why we've requested the 2 additional sort of experienced attorney positions.
Okay. How does the law department plan to utilize external funds? I know that we covered it briefly, and I guess how does that impact utilization overall in terms of the budget?
Yeah, I would like to confirm this answer and return to it after this, counselor, but I don't think we really use external funds. I might have that incorrect. Our external funds, looking at our external funds history, and essentially, I think what we have in it is, you know what? I apologize. I see it here. I would like to check where that number is coming from with budget. I think that this is related to our revolving fund, but I would like to confirm, and I'm either happy to come back or do so in writing, whatever the chair's preference is.
Please. In terms of showing up to hearings, when counselors need clarification, advice, just supports in hearings, what are the protocols when we request for you to show up?
The essential protocol is that the council or a committee of the council can request legal opinions in writing from the Corporation Counsel's office or from the Corporation Counsel. We participate, I think, when necessary in working sessions where real-time sort of response or something might be useful to like the work.
Is there a protocol policy in place that would prevent us, my apologies, that would prevent you from showing up to hearings if counselors request it?
Yes. The city ordinance creating the law department sort of says that we should do this legal advising in writing at the request of the council or a committee. And the reason is because rendering legal advice sort of publicly in real time is a really difficult way for us to give sound legal advice. So based on the city ordinance with that sort of policy background beneath it, it is the reason that we don't render verbal legal advice in real time at a hearing.
Unless we request it in writing and then invite you to review exactly your responses.
I think we would, I mean, I guess every situation is unique, but the general like rule in the ordinance is like we would just do it in writing.
It doesn't prevent you, but does it prevent you from showing up and reviewing your responses? We've asked for it in writing. And now we're inviting you so that the council can actually review your responses, and we prefer it from you. Say we invite you, we've already asked you in writing and you've already written it. What prevents you from showing up and reviewing what you wrote in writing?
Well, I think the response would just kind of speak for itself there. I mean, certainly.
But there's a method. There's a reason why we want you there. We want you there so that we know it's there, so that we review it with everybody else. We're not, say we don't go off script. Is that a problem? Then how else do we get you in to break down what you're writing?
It's an interesting question, and I don't really know how to answer it. Let me just say this. To say how do we ask stuff that's not part of the written answer?
No, how do we ask you to clarify what you wrote?
I mean, you could certainly just, you could just ask for a clarification. We could clarify it in writing. I'm not saying there could never be a situation, but it runs into that same problem, right? Like, which is,
I see.
Just rendering, if the written answer doesn't capture it, and you want an attorney sort of in real time to sort of do something different, we've faced that same tension. Perhaps I'm not thinking through all the situations, and certainly happy to sort of consider things case by case, but that's sort of the general principle based on our ordinance.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us in this hearing. To my council colleagues, do you have any final question? Not questions to ask at this moment, but questions to ask after. Should we let the law department go, or should we ask them to wait here with us? With no objections, I'm going to dismiss them.
That's fine with me.
Okay. All right. You guys off the hook. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to the entire committee. And we know we have some follow-ups in writing, and we will get them to the committee promptly. Really appreciate everybody's time and thoughtfulness and collegiality today. So thank you. And hopefully we will see some people. We all hadn't, I can assure you, Henry Lutine is listening in right now. So he heard many people's kind words, but I know he would love to see you all either at Councilor Flynn's event tomorrow or the law department event after work today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Cedarbaum, and we appreciate you. Susan, thank you, and Pilar, I appreciate you. See you soon. All right. On to Treasury. Since Maureen Joyce is here by herself, let's do, should we do auditing? Do you guys have a preference?
I think we went with collecting and Treasury going first, and I'll just say save the best to last.
All right. That works for me. The floor is yours for, if you, do you have a presentation? Would you like to just talk it through or?
Good morning, Madam Chair. I don't have a presentation. I was just going to kind of talk it through, and I think Maureen Joyce just threw down the gauntlet, so I think I better do a good job here. So good morning to everyone. So the Treasury Department, much like the Law Department, is really personnel based. So we have 32 employees, which includes 5 openings and 3 consultants. The 3 consultants are very niche consultants in the CPA world. So the Treasury Department is essentially broken out into 3 verticals, if you will. The Community Preservation Team, which is a programmatic and operations team, the Trust Team, which is also programmatic and operations, and then the basic city operations of the Treasury Department. The city operations, it's just that. It's really a back office operations. We manage the cash and investments. We issue approximately 100,000 payments monthly to staff, retirees, and vendors. Balance the city's books. We oversee and administer the 403B program. We deal with IRS filings, revenue receipts for non-tax revenues, a myriad of other, important tasks that ensure the city is meeting our obligations. The Trust Department has more than 350 trusts that support everything from library books to public improvements. Boston schools, libraries, and parks are beneficiaries of these trusts. Other important trusts that I know you're well aware of are the Jobs Trust, the Neighborhood Housing Trust. And also notable about the trusts is that because they're not city funds, they do their own accounting, they do their own financial statements, and have an annual audit. So lots of work being done, lots of people needed. The Community Preservation Team, I know you're all well aware of them. They were just in front of you, receiving $40 million of approval for 56 very deserving projects across city neighborhoods. And since 2018, this very small team has received $157 million for 293 projects for affordable housing, historic preservation, and open space and recreation. So all that's my way of saying there's 32 of us. We do a lot of infrastructure work. We do program work in the trusts and in the CPA team. We still have 5 significant openings, but I will tell you that we have gained tremendous ground in the last 2 years in hiring. We really struggled through 21, 22, finding qualified personnel, but we've been fortunate of late to promote from within and find people are applying again. So we literally weren't even having people apply for positions. So we're making great strides, and we're going to continue making those great strides. And so keeping it very brief, I think that's what I'd like to highlight today is that if you'll look at our budget, we're people in postage. So postage for those 100,000 payments that are going out the door. But otherwise, we're, personnel-driven budget. I'll leave it at that. And I'll actually pass it over to my colleague Celia so she can talk about the collecting side, because we're presented as one budget, but we have 2 different looks.
Thank you. Celia, you have the floor. Celia? Maybe your speaker is off too. You're muted?
Celia, you're muted.
We can't.
There we go. Okay, let me try that again.
Excellent.
I'm Celia Barton, First Assistant on the collecting side of the Treasury Department. The mission statement for the collecting division is we collect property tax, all the monies that's due to the city, while serving taxpayers in a professional, courteous manner. The division strives on high property collection rate and pursues all collection remedies under the Massachusetts state law. We closed last year at a collection rate at 99.1%. We owe that to the dedicated staff. We have 28 staff employees that focus strictly on helping taxpayers, working with taxpayers with financial strides, and just making sure the bills go out. We send out every quarter 168,000 real estate bills. So that goes out 4 times a year. So that's close to 675,000 original bills that we mail. Our postage is extremely high, but total with excise of 500,000 bills, we probably send out 1 million bills a year. We do a lot of letter campaigns. We do a lot of collection efforts for people that are having difficulty, and we've done a few enhancements with our online system. We send out reminder emails before the bill is due. We did an elderly outreach because a lot of elderly don't have computers. So we do a phone, they can call in by phone and pay their bills. The total commitment for last year for just our real estate alone was $2.8 billion. And out of that, our collection rate was 99.1%. We have a really dedicated staff. We're trying to do a lot more dealing with mortgage companies and doing a lot of electronic, so we don't have to mail bills, but we're not there yet. We just did a big upgrade on our computer system to branch out some new enhancements that we're trying to work on. We reach out to Age Strong. If somebody comes in, elderly person, they're struggling, we have Age Strong that we reach out to. We reach out to the home center, and we have a different applications that we add to try to help people in paying their taxes. And we're probably not we don't have many things other than collecting, but the staff really does a wonderful job on what they do. And I'll close with that.
Thank you, Celia and Maureen, both. I mean, beyond fiduciary interest, I guess I was looking forward to a breakdown. If you were to explain to a 10-year-old exactly what you do for the city of Boston, what would you say?
Is that me, Maureen, or you?
Sure, either one.
You go ahead, and then I'll follow right behind.
I would say I work for the city of Boston to bring in revenue to help run the city.
What's revenue?
Dollars, money to help programs for schools, to help with the police, with the fire.
And how do you do that? How do you bring money to the city?
I mail out tax bills. From collecting, I mail out tax bills.
All right.
They get the assessments from the assessor's office, and then we generate a tax bill and we mail it out, and we follow to be sure that people are collecting.
Awesome. Thank you.
After all taxes that we have.
And I'll follow right behind Celia and say,
not the most popular department, but we do try.
I'll follow right behind and say, what Celia doesn't collect, we collect for other departmental revenues, non-tax revenues, and then we get some of the pleasure of spending some of the money. So we get to pay people, and we pay the vendors, and so we use a lot. We send out a lot of the money that is collected by Celia's department.
And I always say Maureen is more popular because she gives out the money. A Collecting's not as popular because they're taking the money.
And who are the vendors? English is my fourth language. Who are the vendors?
So the vendors are everybody who goes through the accounts payable system in auditing and needs to be paid. So that could be the people that are working on the city streets. That could be people that we bought our books from. So the city has an obligation to pay them, and auditing does the accounting work, and then we issue those checks for electronic payments to those people.
So if I'm an artist and I applied to be a vendor for the city, and I got a contract or some sort of grant, then I go to auditing department to get my money?
So the department with whom you have the agreement would then put forth a request for payment in some form or fashion to the auditing department. Once it goes through and it's all processed through auditing, it comes over to us and we remit that payment to you. So in some form, either a check or electronic, dependent upon your preference.
Fantastic. Thank you. Karishma, are you ready for us? All right. Whenever you're ready.
Sorry, I was on mute. This is just a quick overview of the Treasury Department by numbers. Just the two divisions, Treasury Division, which has these.
I think, are we doing, yes, we are doing Treasury first.
So we just have two divisions, Treasury Division, which has these specific programs underneath that, at least according to the org charts: administration, general service, payroll, accounting, accounts receivable, and trust. Sorry, I forgot to add that in. And then collecting division, general management, special collections, payment services, accounting / special assessments. And then this is just what the department mission is. And then this is a breakdown of what FY24 Treasury recommended by program. So the programs are listed on the right and color coded by the chart on the left. And you have a percentage breakdown as well. So you have 17.2% to Treasury Administration, followed by the actual amount in dollars, which is $972,076.18. And then we have that for the rest of the specific programs as well. This is the Treasury Department program spending over time. So what you can see on the top there, FY21 actual expense in thousands, just so it's easier to read on the screen, 22 actual expense, 23 appropriation, and then 24 recommended in thousands. On the left, you're going to see the programs that are listed in the raw data of the budget, so general management, special collections, the ones that I went over earlier. And on the graph itself and on the bottom axis, you can see those total amounts by thousands. So for example, you can see the general management has increased by, approximately $120,000. You can also see that special collections has decreased by about $3,000. You can see payment services has increased by about $30-something thousand over the course of FY23 to FY24. And you can kind of see that breakdown throughout the chart. So you can see those differences as you work your way down the chart. Accounts receivable has decreased by about $100,000, and trust has increased by about $79,000. And general service and payroll has increased by approximately $80,000. These are all rounded sums. Treasury Administration has increased by approximately $150,000. Again, rounded sums. I will give you proper sums in my next presentation. And this is FY Treasury broken down by expense type. So on the right, you're going to see the actual expense type: personnel, contractual services, supplies and materials, current charges, and equipment, followed by the percentage that it's taking up in the FY24 recommended budget, and then with the actual expense in real dollars. So $3.8 million for personnel, $939,000 for contractual, so on and so forth. And it's color coded as well. And then this is the Treasury Administration by expense type over time. in the following slides, what you're going to see is a breakdown of each program over time by the expense type. So there will be 9 programs that we're going to see in the following slides. As you can see here, personnel services and Treasury administration has increased by approximately $170,000. Contractual services have increased by approximately $47,000. Supplies and materials have decreased by $3,000, and current charges and obligations have decreased by $9,000. In the next slide, we're going to look at general service and payroll by expense type. Also, the way that this slideshow is built out, the first 5 should be the Treasury division, and the next 4 should be the collections division. Should be. Hopefully it is. So personnel services have increased by approximately $80,000. Contractual services have decreased by approximately $7,000, and supplies and materials have stayed constant. If you do not see a specific expense type in the graph that you've seen in other graphs, the reason for that is because that specific program doesn't have that expense type. So that would be the reason you're not seeing it. And then there is a legend on the right as well, just so you can always refer back to that legend. And then the bottom left is just Boston. And then we have Treasury counting by expense type. So as you can see, personnel services here have increased by approximately $30,000. Contractual services have increased by approximately $1,000. And supplies and materials have stayed constant. This is the trust by expense type over time. Personnel services have increased by approximately $27,000, and contractual services have increased by approximately $52,000. Again, with trust, these are the only 2 expense line items that were listed, so these are the only 2 that will be populating the graph. This is accounts received by expense type over time. So it's been an approximately $90,000 decrease over, approximately $100,000 decrease in personnel services, a $2,000 increase in contractual services, and relatively steady on supplies and materials. This is general management by expense type. Personnel services have essentially only increased by about $9,000. Contractual services have increased by approximately $103,000. Supplies and materials have stayed constant, and current charges and obligations have increased by $5,000. I am sorry for the approximations. My actual numbers are in the notes, which I cannot see while I'm presenting the slides. And then this is special collections by expense type over time. Again, $3,000 in increases in personnel services, $1,000 in increases in contractual services, and steady on in terms of supplies and materials. This is payment services by expense type over time. There's approximately $17,000 increase in personnel services, $2,000 increase in contractual services, but that is on the back of a $370,000 decrease in contractual services from FY22. Supplies and materials have increased slightly by about $15,000, and equipment has stayed relatively same, except for the fact that it decreased by $8,000 from FY22 to FY23. And then there were no other expenses listed for FY24 or FY22, so you will only see FY21 and FY22 in this graph. There was nothing listed for FY23 and FY24. Many, many numbers. And this is a deeper dive into the data. So this is essentially looking at the departmental history in comparison to external funds. This can be found in the budget book, I think on page 69 to 71. And so it's that data kind of analyzed. So what you see here is $3.7 million being spent in permanent employees and $542,000 being spent out of external funds. So that blue line is going to be out of the operating budget general funds. That red line is going to be out of external funds. You can see here health insurance or health costs are about $86,000 in terms of external funds, and pension and compensation is about $46,000 in external funds. Overtime is $45,000 in the operating budget. This is only for FY24, so this is only looking at FY24 numbers. This is contractual services, operating budget versus external funds. So communications is $23,000 in the operating budget and $3,000 from external funds. In repairs, there's $17,000 from the operating budget. And in transportation, there's $32,000 from the operating budget and $10,000 from external funds. The biggest line item here is going to be contractual. There's $867,000 in contracted services and out of the operating budget and $525,000 out of external funds. This is supplies and materials. The only big line item that we can see here is office supplies and materials at $827,000 out of the operating funds. And this is current charges and obligations. This is a reserve account of $37 million, which according to the budget book is the Community Preservation Act. And there is also other current charges at $32,000 out of the operating fund and $33,000 out of external funds. And this is equipment and other spending. So miscellaneous equipment, we see $20,000 out of the operating fund and $30,000 out of external, and then $2,000 out of external for office furniture and equipment. Oh, and then we are done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karishma. Up first, is Councilor Murphy still with us? Okay. Councilor Braden, you have the floor.
Thank you for your presentation. I might be asking the wrong people a question, but how do we, if say there are code violations with fines outstanding, are you folks responsible for those collections, or is that sort of still in the bucket of ISD or the particular department that issues the violation? And then how do we track property owners who are not paying fines? Like, I know in this neighborhood we have folks who just ignore it and they don't pay the fines, and it just all piles up, but there's no accountability. So that's just a question of how we handle that. And if I'm asking the wrong people, let me know who I should be asking.
So the actual collections is done by the department, but the receipt of the funds is done within Treasury. So what I mean by that is if somebody chooses to pay, we will process those payments, et cetera. But the actual collection process and the following up and working is done by the department for most of the departmental receivables. So, you know, there's a collaboration between the departments, but, you know, that's pretty much on any departmental receivables, and code violations is certainly one of those.
Thank you. All right, there was one other question. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's all I have for now. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I may come back with another question later if you don't mind.
No problem. Thank you, Councilor Braden. Is Councilor Flaherty still with us? No. Councilor Coletta. Councilor Mejia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you all for your presentation. And Karishma, I am so glad that you exist in this world, because I am totally the type of learner that is able to absorb the information that you have been presenting us. It is just so easy for me to see it and understand it, and actually in a way that makes sense for the type of learner that I am. So I just want to say thank you to Councilor Anderson for having the foresight to understand that we need a little bit more than what we just get so that we can be set up for success. So just really do appreciate the hard work that your team has been putting into this. And I hope that that does not include my time for all these, you know, compliments I just gave you. So my time begins now. All right, so I just have a quick question in terms of the Treasury Department. I'm curious about the supplies and materials, like 100, and that's a big chunk of change, and I want to know what kind of supplies y'all are working with. What in the world are we spending $800,000 in? Please, ladies, tell me.
Postage. Postage.
Both divisions, it's postage.
Yeah.
Oh, postage. Oh,
it's a tremendous expense for us, Councilor.
Oh man, y'all need to start using emails or
Councilor, 100% agree. We would love to figure out a way to have to stop mailing some of the advices. You know, we still contractually have to mail advices for many of our employees. So that costs us a great amount of money. So I agreed with you that email or electronics would be preferable, and we are looking at that constantly.
Yeah, y'all gonna have to have people come pick it up and sign for it or something just because $800. Okay. All right. So thank you for that. And then I would love, and I believe you all oversee a lot of the funds that we have, right? The George White Fund, the Neighborhood Jobs Trust Fund, all that falls within your jurisdiction. And I'm just curious in terms of just the management of those. Can you just tell us a little bit about, does each fund have its, it continues to increase in revenue? Like, let's say, for instance, is it like a yearly fund for the George White? Do you get additional funding and you have to administer those? Are you seeking additional funding? And like, is there maintenance or work, or is that just automatically just that fund is just there and that's it?
So using the George Robert White as the example that you just mentioned, Counselor. So George Robert White left X number of dollars to the city for specific purposes. So those trust documents state what they can be used for. At that time, the funds were invested, and the investments continue today. And then we draw off those investments. We do a annual draw of 5%, and those funds are then used for the purposes of the George Robert White Fund in this example. So that being said, there's 20 plus properties in the George Robert White Fund. We have a facilities manager. Margaret Dyson is our trust director. They work with the board members to determine what the needs are for the George Robert White Fund that year and use those funds for that purpose.
And then in terms of administrating and overseeing these funds and the individuals that decide that, are you all utilizing any of the funding in your budget to help facilitate, that work?
So it is, I think I'm understanding the question properly, but for example, I just used the trust director's name. She is paid by the trust. So, so those funds are paid. You saw in what Charisma pulled up as far as like external funds, Director Brown's salary is directly out of those external funds for the CPA program. So yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
They're not all out of the operating budget, to answer your question, I think is what you're asking me.
Yeah. Oh, I don't need a translator with you, Maureen. You know exactly what I'm getting at. One more question before I see the gavel or I get turned out. I'm just curious about if you could just, for the record, if you haven't said this before, and if you did, I apologize for asking you to repeat it, but can you just let us know how many funds the city administers?
There's in excess of 350 trusts, not all of equal size. Some are very small. Some are significant, like the George Robert White Fund is a significant trust. The Neighborhood Housing Trust, the Jobs Trust, those take significantly more of our time and more money, Boston Parks and Rec. All things not being equal, but there are in excess of 350 trusts that are administered.
And as we think about just saving money and just really thinking about kind of like efficiency, there's something I think there that we could potentially look at in terms of like the side. I know that they were given and they were donated and, they were set up for something, but it would be great to have a better understanding of the time and energy that it takes to administer these 300 funds, just because I think if there's something that we can do to digitize things or make it a little bit more seamless, then it's worth looking into. But I believe that my time is up, and I really do appreciate you all and the work that you do. And I'm sorry that I'm not on camera, but I think you would be happy not to see me right now. So
thank you, Counselor, and I hope you feel better.
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you.
feel better. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Mejia. Council Rowe, you have the floor. Council Rowe, you may be muted.
Yes, sorry about that. I was muted. Thank you to the Treasury Department. I have one question. Contracted services, can you talk about, what are contracted services? Like, what are we contracting out? And then also, do we see any of the new staff openings helping to drive down the contracted services that we are currently contracting out for?
So in the Treasury section, the contracted services that we currently use right now are predominantly in the community preservation team. So we have 3 consultants, 2 for historic preservation and 1 open space and recreation consultant. And I do know that Director Brown has used these consultants because it's a very niche type of work that they do. I will tell you that I believe she constantly looks for, is there a way to bring on staff and make that, a more permanent city employee? So I will say it's constantly evolving, Councilor Worrell. But right now, it's because of the very specific niche of work that's being done for the Treasury section.
And then my other question is, sometimes I hear from vendors that, they're still waiting on the payment. Do we have an average time that, someone's getting paid from the city of Boston?
I wouldn't be able to answer that. Only because literally what happens is the warrant is presented to us from auditing and we print out the payments. So I don't know that time frame that it's in the AP process. I think that might be something that, auditing might be able to provide. But again, it's more in that AP process. We're kind of at the tail end of that.
Got it. And then my last question, do we have, I guess I'm just curious to see an aging report for accounts receivable to see how much of that 44, I forgot the dollar amount, is, 180 days plus owed.
For which accounts receivable, Counselor?
I might have saw it on Karishma's slide that there was, but I guess my question is, do you have like a list of what's outstanding?
For city properties? I'm sorry,
for taxes and
okay,
right,
sorry.
yeah.
That's Celia Barton.
Yes, we do. We could get that to you. We report it to DOR every year.
Perfect. No further questions. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Councilor Rowe. Councilor Lujan, you have the floor. Sorry, Councilor President Flynn is first.
Oh, okay.
Apologies.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to Maureen, Celia, and Karishma for being here, but more importantly for your work and leadership. I have maybe one question, maybe 2 questions. Let me ask, I don't know if this would go to Maureen or Celia. But in terms of elderly residents that own property, certainly, unfortunately, property taxes are high for our seniors. But I guess my question is there a program where I know we work with elderly residents on any assistance they might have on tax payments, property tax payments, but I'm always concerned about elderly seniors being taken advantage of by unscrupulous business people, reverse mortgages, real estate scams. I know I've read about it in the paper recently. We've had city council hearings on it. But do we have a program where we're educating our seniors about what their rights are as it relates to their property and what they can do to protect themselves from people that want to try to help them, but in reality, they're really taking advantage of them?
We do not from the collector's office. I thought Age Strong was working on that. So that would be something I can reach out and find out about, because we'd be happy to participate in that, for sure.
I would echo that, yeah, there's nothing on the Treasury side either, Counselor. But again, I would, I wouldn't be surprised if Age Strong has put some thought into this and maybe, we could partner with them.
Yeah. If we have any distressed taxpayers, we always reach out to Age Strong. Any
Okay.
concerns they have,
Okay,
we have them help write out tax checks for them, and so we do definitely reach out for any concerns we have.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you, Celia, and thank you, Maureen. And thank you for following up. I know you're following up with Age Strong, and I know this is a concern for many seniors, even for non-seniors, but just our seniors being taken advantage of under because of their financial situation. Let me ask one more question. Are we, in terms of collecting revenue from the city, revenue that comes into the city, comes into your office, I know you have an exceptional rate of over 99%. And I think that's tremendous. Are businesses that do not pay their property tax, say that 0.5% or 0.8%, but the businesses that don't pay their property tax, does the city put them on a list where they're not eligible for city contracts, maybe in the construction field, maybe in some other type of consulting field, but before you get a contract from the city, you should be maybe not, but you should be required to pay your property tax.
We send over letters to Treasury to have them pull checks if they have outstanding. But that's it right now.
Okay. And
so if they work for the city and they're getting some kind of a vendor check, we will send an email or send a letter to get that check pulled and apply it to taxes. If somebody qualifies for an abatement or a refund or whatever, we do pull those checks also. But that would be about all we do right now.
Okay. Thank you, Celia. Thank you, Maureen, and thank you, Karishma. Madam Chair, I have no further questions. Just want to say thank you to the administration team for the important work they're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Council President Flynn. Councilor Lucian, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the administration for being here. My first question is, what does it take, what is considered distressed property? How long does it take for a property to be considered a distressed property?
For a delinquent property? So we send out 9 bills a year, and then at the end of the fiscal year, the calendar year, we place liens on property that are outstanding. Once the lien is placed, there's nothing you can do by law for 6 months, and then we pursue it further with petitions. Unless the person is making payments, then we hold up all of that and just watch their payments coming through.
And how long does it take for them to be delinquent? Is it missing one payment, one property tax payment, or?
Well, you go through the whole calendar fiscal year. So we send out 4 actual bills a year. The first 2 are preliminary, and then the other 2 are actual bills. The actual bills, we send out a demand notice if you're late and a warrant notice, and we do that for both quarters. Then sometime in July, we'll reach out. We'll do a reach out by phone, by email, by letter to help people try to get back on track for that previous fiscal year. And then we send out a final notice to tell them that we're going forward with putting liens on property. So it's a whole fiscal year before we would do anything that would be legal, like 18 months, basically. But in that same time, we're reaching out to people, sending letters and trying to get some, it's all about notice. The more notice we send out to people, the more they'll call up. And even if they're making partial payments, they're doing something. We try to work with them at that time. So once we get notice out there, we continue that with our deputy collectors. And that's how our success has been so successful.
And then what is the gap between, in terms of time or operationally, between placement of the lien and that property becoming, the property of the city of Boston?
So the collector, we're not in the foreclosure business, so we try our hardest not to do that. But usually it's a couple years. But in the meantime, while there is a couple of years, taxes are accruing, so that's when we have our outreach program.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just wanted to have the...
Right. You don't want people to get into foreclosure if we can help it from this office.
About how often would you say, or how many properties a year are we, foreclosing on?
That would be a law department question, but I can tell you it's very minimal.
Okay.
Under 5, maybe?
Yeah, and I have a few questions for the law department. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And then my other questions are with respect to how often we're receiving bequests from individuals of property, of items, do we actively pursue that? What does that look like?
Can you read? I don't really understand the question.
So folks who in their wills gift property or devises and bequests to the city, does that happen? Are folks gifting land or other items to the city of Boston? What does that look like? Do we have a program around that? I'm thinking about it in the context of work that we're trying to do in my office regarding community land trusts and help, a way of helping seniors age in place. But I'm curious to know about, is that something that the city sees folks making, either in their will or making bequests or gifts or devices to the city of Boston?
I don't know the answer to that, Counselor. So I will tell you that I've been in this chair for 2 years and I haven't seen any come our way, but I can certainly, follow up with our trust division and see what that process looks like and, what that, volume, et cetera, for your request.
Yeah, through the chair, I would love an answer to that question.
Absolutely will do.
And then lastly, just regarding the management of trusts, wondering how often we receive or there are public reports or public accountings of the money and the management of those trusts.
So I think it varies by trust, and not all trusts are. As I said earlier, not all trusts are the same, so some trusts are grouped together. We've pooled the trusts, but we do annual financial reports. And so at the very minimum, annually reports are done.
Okay. And how many trusts does the city of Boston manage?
In excess of 350.
Okay. And is there a reason why right now there's an RFP out for an audit of the trust?
Yes, because the previous auditor, the term was up, so we're looking, for our annual audit to be done. I will tell you that we're having a very difficult time getting responses to that RFP. We've reposted it.
And it's an RFP for a contractor, whereas what was the person who's doing?
Councilor Lujan, your time is up. Can you wrap up your final question?
This is the last one. So the RFP that's out, is it for an auditor who had someone to do it on a consulting basis, whereas prior it was we had someone in-house who was doing the work?
No, it's always been external. You want to be audited externally. So you'll hear next from the city auditor who does all their internal financial statements and also has an external auditor come in and review, to ensure appropriate accounting, et cetera. So that's what we're looking for the trusts as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Lujan. Well, if you, Maureen and Celia, if you want to hang around, that's totally okay. For now,
I want to support you, Maureen.
Thank you, Celia. Maureen, we're ready for you if you have a presentation or if you just wanted to talk through it.
Yes,
That's fine too.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. I don't have a prepared deck for this. I was hoping to, as we set the tone in the beginning, to have a good conversation on what gets done. And I appreciate my colleagues hanging in there with me. Our 3 offices make up most of the level 3 in the basement of City Hall. So that's where all the staff we're talking about do their work. And it's a very hardworking team across all departments. I would encourage the folks on this call to look at the city auditor's website. That's where our external financial statements are housed, that you could click on at any time and know all the financial intricacies of the city. The reports are very, very useful. And you can see the history of the reports. I think we probably have 5 or 6 years out there. I will warn you, the annual comprehensive financial report is 185 pages. But it is really useful and interesting information about the city. And we have, for many years, received national awards for the report. And I would like to share, Maureen Garceau didn't mention this in her presentation, but we Audit and Treasury sat in with the CFO and the mayor on recent rating presentations for the city bond offerings. And the folks from S&P complimented the city on their annual report and said it was one of the best that they ever see, which was fantastic for me to bring back to my team, because it is, as you can see, sometimes it's hard to get a good excitement and a pulse on a 185-page financial document. But they do hard work, and it's important work for the city. I would just quote from the website what the audit department does. We prepare the city's annual financial statements and review and process all financial transactions for accuracy, completeness, and compliance. We also implement financial controls over department spending and provide technical assistance to city departments and agencies. I would say, I don't know how many people on the call have had an accounting class. That would be the group that would have an awareness of what we do, but our work, similar to collecting and Treasury, has daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly and annual responsibilities. And we have people who pay attention to that vigilantly on those cycles. It's important work, and we make sure, I would say it's an impressive culture of public service to make sure the city's citizens' money is taken care of on the way in and on the way out. I've only been with the city just now almost 4 years. My career mostly was in the Boston area at colleges and universities. But I will tell you, it really prepared me for this job, which very similar work, but bigger and very transparent. And it's been very interesting and exciting to do. I'm not sure how much more I can share. I think I'd like to leave more time for questions so I can kind of fill in the blanks depending on where people's reference comes from. I would gently say that our financial presentation will be very uninteresting because except for headcount, there's not much going on in audit. We have some costs for our systems, and we bring in actuaries to work with us for the valuations for the retirement and the health benefits. But other than that, it's head count and a couple of stamps. That's it. So I'll conclude at that point.
Thank you so much, Ms. Joyce. I think it's really, really fascinating. Kidding. Your work is extremely important, and I decided to bring you this year specifically more for educational purposes for the public. And just for full transparency, a lot of folks complain about Treasury and auditing, and they say they don't complain of your service, they just don't understand fully what you do. Mm-hmm. And for transparency and just for clarity, this conversation I think is going to be very helpful for us and for the public as well. I'm going to ask Karishma to come on again, and once we get the visuals, we'll go into questioning.
Here's auditing. Oh, sorry. This is just the department mission and then what finance it's housed in. Marie, you read this out, so thank you. And then this is the org chart that is available in the city budget. And then these are just some programs that in the budget itself and also in the raw data, there just doesn't seem to be a line item attached to it. This is the FY24 auditing recommended by program, and essentially it's broken down as it was in the previous slides. On the left, you're going to see that pie chart. On the right, you're going to see that legend with the specific program, followed by the percentage, followed by the total amount. So for example, grants monitoring is at 9.4% and $348,953.59. Here, you're going to see auditing department program spending over time from fiscal year 21 actual in thousands to fiscal year 24 recommended to in thousands. It's in thousands again, just to ease people in terms of being able to read these numbers. So as you can see, auditing administration has decreased by $30,000 from fiscal year 23 to fiscal year 24. Accounting has increased by $153,000 from FY23 to FY24. Central payroll has increased by $141,000. Grants monitoring has increased by $142,000. And accounts payable has increased by $12,000. This is the FY24 auditing department amount requested by program. So this is, not by program, requested by line item, apologies for that. So this is a breakdown kind of personnel, contractual services, current charges, and that should be equipment, apologies. So this is going to look at 93.7% for personnel at $3.5 million-ish, 4.8% for contractual services at $177,000, 1.2% for current charges at $44,000, and 0.3% for equipment at $11,000. This is a program breakdown over time. So this is the auditing administration by expense type over time. Again, as we saw previously, what we're going to see is a programmatic level breakdown over time. So it's going to be the 5 programs that were listed in the raw data. So this is auditing administration. As you can see here, we have a $21,000. We have a $21,000 increase in personnel spending, a $12,000 decrease in contractual services. Actually, sorry, it's not $12,000. We have a decrease in contractual services, and we have essentially a steady on supplies and materials and a $1,000 decrease in current charges and obligations. Apologies again, our the contractual services have decreased by approximately $30,000. This is accounting by expense type over time. So this is just another program. Here, this is broken down, again, at the year level, at fiscal year spending levels. So accounting by expense over time at personnel has increased by about $75,000. Current contractual services have increased by approximately $74,000, and current charges have increased by approximately $5,000. Supplies and materials have stayed steady on. Of course, current charges and obligations have increased, but they had decreased. They had increased a lot more from fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 23, and that's something to note there. Additionally, with contractual services, we see an uptick at approximately $74,000 for accounting, but in fiscal year 22, it was at $209,000. So there was a pretty big decrease from 22 to 23 for contractual services. This is grants monitoring by expense type over time, apologies for that. So as you can see here, personnel has increased by $142,000, and current contractual services have increased by $1,000. The personnel increase has increased the level that it was in fiscal year 2022, so that's just something to note there as well. This is accounts payable by expense type over time. We can see a $9,000 increase in personnel services, a $3,000 increase in contractual services, and steady on throughout the rest of our it's a steady on throughout the rest of the specific line items. This is central payroll by expense type over time. As you can see, personnel services have increased by approximately $141,000, and contractual services, supplies and materials, current charges and obligations, and equipment have stayed relatively steady on. And this is getting deeper into the line items. As we saw previously, this is going to be breaking down by departmental history and comparing it to external funds by line item. So as you can see here, permanent employees Approximately $120,000 goes towards permanent employees from external funds and $3.4 million from the operating budget. There's $10,560 from external funds that goes towards overtime, and then the rest of them are essentially zeroed out. This is also only for fiscal year 24. This is not, a year-on-year review of this operating budget versus external funds. This is auditing contractual services spending by operating. The reason external funds are not going to be included in the following slides is because there was just no external funds being used by the department. So that's why you will only see it in terms of contractual services. As you can see here, for communications, it's $9,000. Repairs and service of equipment, $6,570. Transportation of persons, $30,712. And contracted services, $130,835. Sorry. Sorry. This is auditing supplies and material spending by the operating budget. As you can see, office supplies and materials is about $9,000, and clothing allowance is about $2,500. This is auditing current charges and obligations. We have $44,000 in other current charges. And that is it for the auditing department. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Karishma. I'm going to open up for questions. Mine is pretty simple. I think the big standout for me, just really quickly, is the external fund earning indirect saw a sizable decrease from $239,455 in FY23, then to $129,640 in FY24. And since it pays two admin positions, why the steep decrease?
So I'm going to have to follow up with you, Counselor, because I want to see the numbers on a piece of paper to be able to analyze it. And there's a bunch of things that have been going on in that area, especially with big federal funds coming through. So I think it's more the comparison of the 2 years. How did it look and how did it change? So let me please follow up with that.
Okay, no problem. I can submit in writing.
That would be great. That way I can make sure I answer the right question.
No problem. The rest of my questions are just like those, in terms of the increases and decreases and things I didn't really, that stood out for me and I did not really understand in terms of increase or decreases. And the clothing allowance, I didn't understand that either.
Usually that's a union requirement, so I'll have to go back and see what's in there, given the union employees that are in there. That was new to me when I came to the city, but let me go and look at that. Yeah.
That makes sense. Thank you so much. In the order of arrival, no more Murphy, Braden, Flaherty, Coletta, Mejia. Council Mejia, you have the floor.
Council Mejia, still standing, y'all. Okay, so I just have a few questions, just overall with the, and I'm not sure if you all are the right department, and this might be more for assessment because you guys do auditing, but I'm going to ask it here anyways, just in case you might be able to point me in the right direction. So I've been getting a lot of calls from small businesses who have been getting notices auditing some of their property, some of their equipment as fees that they need to pay the city for, like, their hair salon chair or whatever equipment that's in their business, and they're getting assessed this fee through the auditing. Is this something that through the auditing department you guys determined what that cost is? Or no? I see you shaking your head no.
Councilor Mejia, I have no idea what you're talking about. I mean,
I think
yes, salons have, go ahead.
I can send you an invoice because these small businesses, many of them don't even speak English, are sending me their bills and like, what is this? And I'm like, I'm gonna find out for y'all. And they're asking me, how does the city determine what the value is of their particular equipment? So if you don't know where this is coming from, what I'll do is I'll be more than happy to send you an email with some of the notices that folks have received. Some of them have paid just because they many of which, especially when you're dealing with immigrant populations, when they see anything that looks official, they automatically pay it, no problems. But I just want to make sure that these people understand how you all are assessing and auditing their equipment, so that it's making sure that it's equitable and that people understand the depreciation value of it and all that good stuff. So I just
that's the that would be the assessor's office, Counselor.
Okay.
Those are personal property tax bills.
Right.
So they would have to reach out to the assessor's office.
Right, but you guys do auditing, right? Like you audit though? Do you so is that
No, so Councilor Mejia, really, the audit department, now this is a little known fact, really is more like the controller's office in a business. We have accounting, we have grant accounting, we have accounts payable, and we have payroll.
Okay.
We do all the transactions related to that and all the accounting related to that to make sure things that come in are accounted for properly and things that are going out the door are accounted for and authorized properly.
Yeah,
the only auditing we really do is when we are audited by our external CPA firm.
Got it. Thank you. And I'm so glad that my viewers are tuning in so that they can learn about your job.
And please have them call me anytime. I love to talk about this stuff.
I will. So now that you help me have a better understanding, I do have a follow-up question in regards to, and then I'm not sure if this falls under your department or if this is somewhere else, but I do come across folks who are undocumented and have had an issue with, a very specific example with the BPS Transportation Department, where they're undocumented. So if they are getting reimbursed because of the amount of the reimbursement and because they don't have a social security number or a tax ID or whatever it is, they're unable to receive payment. And I'm just curious about, is that something that falls under your department? That's just one example, and it's not just within BPS. It happens in different spaces and places. So can you share with us kind of like how you all are reconciling with that?
So what I would say, that's an example I'm very familiar with. So, any department that has that type of situation come about, we work with the department to find a reasonable resolution. Does that sound helpful enough? We want to make sure, for example, with the transportation, there were parents due reimbursements for their children that needed special transportation, and they had, we'll say, no bank accounts or ways to get financially reimbursed. So we kind of worked with the BPS to advise and counsel them. And as I understood it, they were looking into very proactive ways to make sure that the folks were getting the funds due to them.
Yeah, I think that was a significant hardship for a lot of families. And so I'm glad that you all have found some.
Yeah, one of my things is you want to kind of get to the root issue and find a way to help. So I think we're able to come up with many, there was some short-term solutions and then some long-term solutions that made it work for the families.
This is my last question, and this might be in the transportation and parking department, but since you all are overseeing the payments of such things and how they get processed, I've come across folks who work in the city of Boston and live in the city of Boston and are providing direct services to some of our most vulnerable residents, and they have incurred parking tickets. And in terms of assessing and processing, is this something that you all oversee, or is this the Department of Parking? They determine whether or not through a hearing, whether or not the fee is collected, or do you guys have any interaction with that department? No.
I have no interaction with those departments on that. Depending on who's delivering the ticket would be the department and what process they have to use.
Okay. All right, Maureen. Thank you. Two Maureen and Cecilia. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. And no further questions. The chair. Thank you again.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Louis-Jean, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Maureen, for the presentation. I just have And I think it was answered in part, but just if you could just talk a bit more about the external auditing that happens, and how you work with the external, and in what circumstances you use the external auditor.
So the external auditors audit the city of Boston. So when you issue our annual financial statements, so the financial statements belong to the city, the CFO, myself, and the mayor sign off on them. But we also get a review by an external independent authority that the information we're provided has been reviewed, and they are staking their reputation that the information on the financial statements is correct. Now, as a part of that audit, the audit of the city of Boston is a very big project. And the financial audit takes approximately 9 months to accomplish. It's a tremendous amount of work that basically is usually always going on. At the same time, we have another audit that's called the single audit. You can see that on our website, and that is an audit of all federal funds at the city needs to be audited, and we're required to do that annually by the federal government. So,
and is that done? That's done by the auditor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we work with them to produce the financial information. Once they see what the financial information is, they do statistical sampling or other testing for the areas, depending on how they want to best audit it. So as you can imagine, there is a lot of payroll testing done all over the city and all over our programs to make sure the way we collect the information is reliable. I can go on if you want to know more about how the audit works. You know, we have a very dedicated team right now. It's KPMG that is the city auditors.
Thank you, Maureen. I appreciate that. I want to congratulate you on the recognition from S&P about. I think that's a really really big deal. It shows the level of integrity and dedication, work ethic of our workers. So it's a neat shout out.
Thank you.
Just in terms of, so there's, we get the budget from the budget office, and that contains a lot of information. The reports, the ACFR, and the independent auditors report, they contain additional information. Is there anything in those reports, not in the reports that we get from budget, that you think that the council should be paying closer attention to?
So I would recommend that the council should read through the city's annual financial report. And I would also offer that they read the official statements that go out with the bond offering.
I read those because I read those statements, but
even just the narratives and some of the comparisons are really useful. And I will tell you, before I had this offer, the job I got here, I looked into the city's finances, and first thing that hit me, boom, was AAA bond rating. I'm like, these folks know what they're doing. I mean, the city has a very strong financial team, and the financial statements and the audits all prove that. So, Counselor, tell me please how to pronounce your last name so I don't.
It's Louis Jean. Louis like a Louis Vuitton bag, and Jen, your friend Jen. Louis Jean. Thank you.
The budget is proactive. They'll provide you with some historical reference, and then they'll say what they're anticipating for the next year in relationship to how expenses have gone in the past. When you look at the financial statement, it's all history and it's all factual. It's at a point in time, this is what the city looks like as far as what our assets are worth, buildings and cash in the bank, and how much money we owe in bonds and to others. That's a point in time. And then the other story is told is, this is how much money came through for revenue for the whole year. And this is how we spent that revenue in the whole year. And we, in the audited financial statements, have schedules that also tell the story of how we did compared to budget. How good were we compared to budget?
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. As I said, I read the bond statements, but I'm going to take a deeper dive into some of the information in the ACFR. So I appreciate you.
Call anytime.
Yeah, I know, and I appreciate all the work that we do to get that AAA bond rating. I do think that there's more that we can be doing once we get this really great rating. You get a good credit score. What are you doing with it? And so, I think I want us to see us be a little less conservative when it comes to meeting the demands of the moment. I'm excited that we're actually doing that this year because there was a 27% increase in bond issuances. So thank you, and thank you, Madam Chair, for this opportunity to address my questions to administration.
All right, thank you, Councilor Lujan. Thank you, Maureen and Celia, for a nice conversation. I really appreciate the work that you do. Really, really, really underestimated. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the education today. And whatever information you have, whether it's physical literature that you can send to my office, we would love to pick some up to help the public with understanding how to better navigate your services there. I look forward to the conversation, and I think that's pretty much it. I'll leave the floor open if you have any final comments.
Nope, I do not, but thank you for having us here today, Councilor.
Yep. Thank you, and I want to just emphasize there's a lot of people in our 3 areas that really make this happen. I felt uncomfortable coming by myself because I always like to bring my team, and each of the other ladies here have a great team also.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I do want to know how you were able to order those bookshelves in the background, but that's a separate conversation.
They're probably over 100 years old.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, they do give an image, don't they?
Well, we're lucky to have them. Thank you, and we're lucky to have you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.